This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly entertainment podcast. For this week, we're going to look at upcoming releases, including Spring Breakers, The Call, and The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. We're going to have reviews of The Last Exorcism II, 21 and Over, and Jack the Giant Slayer. Our From the Outside In topic this week, I can barely explain it, but we're going to create a trilogy based on a theme from existing films. Thank God Justin's going to explain that for us. We're going to have the latest in movie and TV news, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson, and with me today are my fellow host, Scott Clark.
What is going on, Aaron? Doing
a podcast. You ask that every week. We're doing the same thing when we're doing it.
Yeah, I got to be reminded every once in a while.
That makes sense. Justin McCumber.
How you doing, brother? You doing all right?
I'm feeling a little inappropriate right now. I feel like you're going to piss on me.
Wow, if that's what you do when you get intimate, that's
wow.
your business.
Oh, I thought it was R. Kelly you were playing. I'm
and
sorry.
TMI.
And Brian Williams.
Man, I don't know nothing about that when I eat crackers.
I wish people knew what crackers meant.
People ain't going to get that.
No, they're not.
That's an in-joke. Oh, this just went all kinds of wrong.
Record time.
How's everybody doing?
I'm in a romantic kind of mood, I guess.
Obviously. Why
little
are
R&B, a little something for us, little you and me, Aaron. Little music's at the mood, right?
Way past Valentine's Day. Is it our anniversary or something? Did I forget?
Baby, I don't need a special occasion, baby, to romance you.
Oh, so you're a Jehovah's Witness. Excellent.
Yeah, I come up to your door. Have you heard about my love?
Wow. A couple of tidbits. Did you guys hear Hobbit 3, There and Back Again? Is it called Hobbit 3 or just There and Back? Whatever it's called. It's no longer going to be like summer 2014. It's now going to be December 17th, 2014. And they moved Kick-Ass 2. I'm just trying to get away from all that R&B love talk. Kick-Ass 2 is going to move from June to August 16th. If you guys are looking forward to seeing those, I guess you can wait a little longer.
Well, the first one was in, the first Hobbit movie was in Christmas, right?
Yeah. And the second one's going to be at Christmas. Now this one will be at Christmas.
I think they could release that on Halloween. It would be fine.
Well, I didn't quite understand why they were going to go December, and then summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do December. It's a few extra months, but people like me who only have a couple of brain cells left kicking around, we can use as much simplicity in our lives as possible.
Is that really messing with you?
It just seemed odd. It just really seemed odd.
No, I'm with you.
The OCD in them said, I just can't go. I just can't do it.
Well, and the 3 Lord of the Rings films came out, didn't they come out the same span of time apart from each other?
Yes.
Yeah, it was what, before Christmas, but after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so it's tradition. Keep it tradition.
Yep.
I didn't know the Hobbit movies were a tradition.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're going to have a theme throughout the whole show. What's up, Justin? It looks like they're turning Sinister.
No, do not break, no. There ain't no lawbreakers in here. Let's just move on.
Okay, first thing, it looks like they're turning Sinister into a franchise. With Sinister 2 is now being developed, and Blumhouse Productions is looking to continue with a micro budget for these kind of movies. The last one cost about $3 million.
Well, it's funny that they want to call $3 million a micro budget, because there are a lot of independent films out there that are made for under $1 million. So to call 3 micro is stretching it. But if you want to compare it against a lot of other movies out there, then I guess in that comparison, sure, it looks pretty micro. But I like what Blumhouse, Jason Blum is doing, and that he's trying to create successful films, but that aren't just burdened with a lot of money right off the bat. They make it small, and that way you're a lot more likely to make your money back and then some when the film comes out. So that's smart. It's good business, and I like that he's trying to make a business of these films that's not filled with CGI and all sorts of just useless, expensive shit. Just make it cheap, do it small. It's a good idea, but I don't know what kind of legs the story of Sinister has. It's kind of like Saw. Did we really need Saw 2, 3, 4, 5, 12? I mean, they're all basically the same story. Sure, change a couple of characters around, but it's all about these traps and people in them. I can't imagine that the next Sinister is going to have a completely new and interesting take on the story. It's probably just going to be another family and their horror dealing with these little films and the demon inside them. So I wish that they would, instead of creating these franchises that are just really all they are is a way to make money, and instead trying to inject a little fucking art into it. Come up with a new story. Give me a new film. I don't need Sinister 2. Give me something else that's different.
Is every sequel going to have them watching more of these damn movies?
I don't see how they can't, because the whole thing of that story is that Ethan Hawke's character finds these films, he watches them, and through watching them kind of releases this demonic figure into his life. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they're going to, unless somebody puts them on the interwebs and it goes viral. Even then, you're still watching a video and it's entering into your life. Do something new, something original. Don't give me the same stuff just with a new family that's going to get whacked up.
He starts sending pictures of himself through the U.S. mail.
Maybe.
Jazz
I
it
don't
up.
know. Just I love the idea. It just seems kind of mercenary. Let's just do whatever we have to make money instead of let's do what we can to make money and create something interesting.
And this is the same company that also does Insidious, which they've got a part 2 coming out, and I think Paranormal Activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're pretty good at this. It's a good model. And just to illustrate how ridiculous the MPAA ratings group is, it is supposedly a not-for-profit group, yet has become Hollywood's chief lobbyist, and Chief Chris Todd banked $2.2 million last year. And the total salaries for all 205 employees that sit there and watch and rate movies rang up to about $26.5 million just for rating films.
So what are we really upset about? The fact that these people are getting paid a ridiculously amount of money to watch movies, or the fact that
that would
we're
be
not
awesome.
the ones getting paid a ridiculously amount of money to watch movies?
I think the part that's ridiculous is the fact that the MPAA is supposed to be not for profit. Yet it seems like they're making a lot of money out of this.
Well, a lot of people make money off of not for profit. Just because it's not for profit doesn't mean that they can't pay their employees.
But they've been accused many times of being able to be bought off for a rating.
It's Hollywood. It's a bunch of scumbags. I mean, that's how it works.
I think what's more interesting on that, and again, they lost money last year, whatever, but a lot of people did, but the amount that they have for travel.
They could make more if they stopped paying people $2.2 million, but...
Well, that too, but I mean, how do you spend, $1.9 million in travel when you have 205 employees?
Apparently everybody gets to go...
G6's bitch!
That's insane.
Somebody's riding in first class a lot.
Yeah, the people that are getting PG-13 ratings. That's who's right.
Well, travel's more than just a cab ride to the airport. I mean, that's the plane tickets, that's hotels, that's food.
For $2 million, I think it's a space shuttle.
Entertainment expenses.
But I get
that means
when
strippers.
you're a big baller in the movie industry, it costs. That's what it's about.
But I get Aaron's point too. It is considered a non-for-profit. They get certain tax breaks.
Yeah,
for
but
being
not-for-profit doesn't mean charity.
Well, $2.2 million isn't charity, man. That's one person's salary. That's a CEO.
Yeah, and he's responsible for making sure that no kids see movies that they're not supposed to.
I'm saying $2.2 million
That's a lot of pressure, man. He
is
deserves to
more
be
than
compensated.
a lot of CEOs from large corporations make. Believe it or not, that is actually a lot higher than some of those salaries. That's a little ridiculous for a guy that's just supposed to be making sure that films are safe for parents.
I say good for him or her, whoever.
I can't
Aaron,
talk
you're
to you.
sounding like a communist.
I am a communist. Red wins. Red wins. Casting his Gary Oldman. We're just going to go away because apparently Brian doesn't understand my point.
No, I understand it. I just disagree with it. There's a difference.
Well, that's one more reason to keep going.
Just, I love how everybody, you disagree with somebody and it's like, well, no, you just don't get it. I get it. And I say congratulations to the fucking asshole because I wish I was that guy. Instead, I'm not getting paid anything to give my views for once a week on
For
movies.
the entertainment of millions.
Yes.
Of dozens of people.
Gary Oldman will lead Viva la Resistance in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and Daniel Radcliffe's going to play Igor in Frankenstein.
I've always really liked Gary Oldman. I think he's been kind of an underrated actor, so I'm glad that he's getting these bigger roles, kind of like with the Batman reboot and the upcoming RoboCop and now Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I just really want to see. I really want to see more from that film because I think he had a hard act to follow, especially with the Andy Serkis stuff in the first one. But I love Gary Oldman. So Daniel Radcliffe, he's really trying to shake that Harry Potter thing, isn't he?
Bad.
I mean,
very badly.
I mean, I got to give him props. You know, Igor. That's a completely different.
I think it's Igor.
Igor. I'm not going to naysay it too much because I've said this before with other actors that I couldn't see in other roles, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I'd like to see what he does. But
now, is he going to get the hunch on his back?
Because
Igor needs to have a hunch.
I don't care as long as he wears his glasses. That's the only way I'm going to see it.
I'd be willing to bet
that'd be normal.
I'd be willing to bet that there's something in his contract that says he can't wear glasses in any of their movies. Kind of like
even if you're blind to the world, you cannot wear your glasses.
No, I mean like they did that with Pierce Brosnan. Like he wasn't allowed to wear a tuxedo in any of their movie. He was in his contract, so they probably had something
That's
like
just
that.
Stupid. I know it's true, but one other casting bit: Harrison Ford was just announced for Anchorman 2, and he's going to play Tom Brokaw.
That's actually kind of awesome.
That's a pretty good pretty good casting note.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna be really awesome. When is that one coming out? I haven't even seen.
December.
This December.
Yeah,
right?
they're filming it now, so hopefully it's good. I don't know how they're still casting it. You'd think they'd be shooting by now.
That's what I was saying. If it comes out in
December. It's a little
December.
feral. I don't think they put a whole lot of effort into stuff.
They record it in a week.
Yeah, they do.
Film it in a week.
They film it with the YouTube cameras. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is back in pre-production, and the search is now on for a director. And the script, by the way, was written by David O. Russell, who just did Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, that is. It's interesting. The book was written by Seth Grahame-Smith, who also wrote the novel Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and he also wrote the screenplay for the film based on that. It's kind of surprising that this film is being then scripted by David O. Russell. I'm kind of wondering why Seth Grahame-Smith didn't write the screenplay for it, or maybe he wanted to and they didn't let him, or maybe he did. Now David O. Russell's cleaning it up. It just says that David O. Russell's writing it. But yeah, David O. Russell, aside from being a director of some renown now, he did write Silver Linings Playbook. He also wrote Three Kings, I Heart Huckabees. I mean, the guy's written some films before, so he knows what he's doing as well. I'm not as interested in this Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. To me, it was just kind of a cute idea that kind of picked up extra steam and ran away with us for a while. But this has long been a dead project, pardon the pun. I wouldn't be sad if it returned to that state. But you get the right cast, the right director, then we'll see. But this isn't one of those properties that I'm particularly anxious to see brought to film. But I did like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, both the book and the film. So Seth Grahame-Smith's being involved kind of in both. There's a little interest there. We'll see.
I'm sick of zombies.
Yeah.
I'm just sick of zombies. Sick of zombies. I like The Walking Dead. I kind of want to see Warm Bodies because you guys keep raving about it. Outside of that, I just don't want any more zombie movies for a while. Give me a break.
I don't know. That World War Z, for some reason, every time I see the trailer, it somehow makes me just a little more interested every time.
I am interested in that movie.
Because you want to see zombies creating a wall of other zombies?
No, I want to see Brad Pitt getting eaten.
That won't happen, man. If he gets eaten, the whole movie would collapse. I mean, that's why they're shooting the second half.
But that would be so awesome if he died in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
That would be kind of cool. When has that been done where like the lead actor is offed? Like
Did you ever
that?
see there was a...
Executive Decision with Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal.
Yeah, and what was it? There was something
Steven
minutes.
Seagal dies in the first probably 45 seconds of the movie.
There was a movie with
really?
Robert De Niro and Edward Burns, 60 Minutes or something minutes, 80, I don't know what it was called, but basically he's a cop and Edward Burns is a fireman, and Robert De Niro actually dies like midway through the movie, and you don't believe he's dead for at least 20 minutes after that.
What was the shark movie that Samuel L. Jackson like?
That Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, that was just cool just because like you didn't see it coming at all.
Best death ever.
You don't expect that a high-profile actor like that to get offed, especially like that.
By a shark jumping out of the water,
Yep.
biting him,
Yes.
and then jumping back in.
Acrobatic shark. He's training for the Olympics. All right, let's go to home mill, Scott. We got a couple big ones this week.
All right, yeah. Sometimes something pops up that just may be a rumor or might be just in the works. This week, with the way the film is going and coming from the pretty reliable Latino review, which has helped us out a couple times. Sorry, I got a little
of that Georgia accent creeping into Scott's everything speaking voice.
just happened somehow. I don't know. I talked to Brian. Anyway, it looks as though this
I
could...
leave a little bit in your throat?
A little bit.
Please go. Please go.
Looks as though this could very well be a possibility with Christopher Nolan executive producing for DC and Zack Snyder possibly being at the helm. Christian Bale is supposedly in talks to bring back his Batman for another go-around as the Justice League movie. Now, Justin, how do you feel about that possibility?
Well, I read the article, and the way it put it is that because Christopher Nolan is now going to be in charge of all this, that automatically meant that Christian Bale was going to be playing Batman. And I don't understand quite why they would say that. I don't see that as an automatic thing. And in fact, I think if Christian Bale were to come back and play Batman, it would kind of undermine everything the third film did, especially the ending of that movie. As much as I enjoyed Christian Bale as Batman, I would much rather kind of see, oh God.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Thank you, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, taking on that role, or maybe just somebody completely new. But Christian Bale's Batman had its 3 films, beginning, a middle, and a definitive end. I think it should be left there. But I will say, though, that having Chris Nolan supposedly in charge of these Justice League films, and with Zack Snyder and the other people that he's going to have involved, it really shows that DC maybe, and Warner Brothers, is taking this incredibly seriously, and that they're not going to rush anything. They had a script. They didn't like it. They didn't run with it. They're going to be careful with this, and they're putting it in the hands of people who are incredibly talented. So Marvel may have, they may have a true contender coming up to try and snatch up some of those box office superhero receipts.
I'll be completely surprised if Christian Bale does this.
I would be too.
It's not just them. I've actually seen it a couple times. He has been talked to about it.
Well, I'm sure somebody's talking to him about it, but I think it would be a bad move because of the third film. I think if the third film had ended with his fate left completely open and the whole Robin character kind of maybe being Batman, spoiler alert, then sure. But no, he hung up the cowl. His character is no more. So no, I hope they would go a different way.
I'm not sure how they do that.
I would like to see somebody different myself. I just think Christian Bale's was good. It's done. By the time they actually get around to filming and everything, it's going to be another few years. That'll be enough time will pass. Just let him go. Just create somebody else. Let somebody else have a crack at the character.
Like Val Kilmer, give him another shot. George Clooney's free. We can bring him back. I actually liked him as Bruce Wayne.
Did you?
I liked him more as Bruce Wayne than I did as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's pretty much
I didn't need the bat nips. You didn't know it was that cold in that cave.
It's really cold. And they were really hopped up on sexing.
Oh, wow. Also in the home build this week, Sam Raimi made a remark doing press for Oz, which is his upcoming movie, that he and his brother Ivan would like a crack at writing the Evil Dead 4 script this summer. He did later clarify that he's only considering it based on fan reaction and that nothing is a done deal. Now, Brian, I know you're a big fan of this series. Is that something that you would like to see? I assume we all kind of would.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not real sure. I think this Evil Dead, the 1, 2, and 3, have kind of past our time. I just think it's, first of all, he doesn't really want to do it. That's kind of a big thing. By the article, I kind of got the impression that he just doesn't understand the attraction to the Evil Dead.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And he just like, okay, I don't know why people keep clamoring for this. And his brother's pushing him to do it. He says, look, your fans are calling for it, so give them what they want. And he's like, yeah, okay, all right. So they're not even going to sit down and write it, if they even do it, until this summer. I mean, Aaron, what year did Army of Darkness come out? Was it like
1993. Yep.
3. Okay, so it's been 20 years since the last one. And how long was it between? Well, 1 and 2 came out fairly close, didn't they?
They're about 7 years apart. Each one of them was about 6 or 7 years apart.
Okay, I thought 1 and 2 were pretty close, but then the third one was like a decade after or something. So
no, 2 came like 6, 7 years after the first one. And that's back before that was normal for sequels, and nowadays that never happens. Yeah. Me personally, as a huge fan, the first movie is, probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and I would rather they take the character of Ash, because I love Bruce Campbell, and just go do something else with that character. Not fight Deadites, because they're rebooting it. I just think that's kind of weird now. As much as I've always wanted Evil Dead 4, I do think the time has probably passed. And you could tell Sam Raimi's not really into it, which means I'm worried about what kind of movie it would be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
is Bruce Campbell too fat at this point?
Oh, fuck no. Shut up. You shut your horn mouth. Bruce Campbell's just fine. Make him a fat Ash. I don't care. I mean, he did it with Bubba Hotep.
Oh, I got it. I see what you did there, fat Ash. Fat Ash. Good one. Such a lyrical wizard.
Thank you, Brian, for explaining that one.
Fucker.
I had to draw Scott a picture.
Okay, draw a box.
Justin, do you want to see that?
No. I really think that with the rebooting that they're doing of the first Evil Dead, that reboot is giving the franchise, for me, a lot more energy and interest and momentum than an actual Evil Dead 4 would be. In Evil Dead 4 would almost kind of confuse the issue now, especially with a younger audience that maybe it hasn't seen them, and so kind of this Evil Dead, while they know it's a reboot, they're not so familiar with the other movies that it would be a stumbling block for them. But then if all of a sudden an Evil Dead 4 came out, no, its time has come and gone. Army of Darkness was fantastic. Just let it go. Let this reboot be maybe what the franchise goes off on from here, if it goes on to anything.
Couldn't have said it better, man. I mean, I could have, but I didn't.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. Some people like haunted house movies, some don't. But if you're a fan of the Amityville horror movie and the original one, then you might want to check out The Conjuring. It's actually based on actual files from Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were world-renowned ghost hunters back in the 70s. And apparently all this happens before the actual Amityville events. But basically, The Conjuring tells a story about a family's fight with a supernatural entity, and that just happens to kind of grow more and more violent and ominous, and all kinds of scary shit happens. So it just seems like scary movies are being cranked out about once a month at this point. I like this. This kind of looked appealing to me, even though Lily Taylor's in it. She doesn't. I don't know. She don't do much for me. What about you, Scotty?
I did not like the trailer, but it looks like a movie I want to see. This trailer looked like just a little bit of a clip from the actual movie itself, and not a trailer. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Well, it didn't feel like it was cut.
Yeah, I just felt like I was watching a sneak preview of the movie instead of a pieced together trailer to kind of give me an idea of what it was. With that said, you kind of don't need that much more information, but I don't want to be shown a movie that way. I don't think I need to be shown it that way to get excited about it. It looks genuinely creepy. Just if you can make a clap creepy. I liked the trailer.
Creepy. I thought it was a cool trailer. Nice really? Teaser. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
If you can make a clap creepy, that's pretty cool.
I thought it played well. I thought they did a lot to set up the atmosphere. I thought it was really creepy. So I really want to see it now. And I had never heard of it before. And it's directed, James Wan I like, so.
I have to imagine Aaron's had a clap. That was pretty scary.
Da-da-da-da-da.
I'll be here all week, folks. Tip your waitress.
Hey, Brian, can you explain that one to me?
Can your wife explain it to him?
Bill should explain it enough.
Wow. All right, Justin, what were you saying?
Now, The Conjuring looks cool, and this looks like another one of those films that's using a very sparse budget. They're trying to go with some more creepy thrills and chills as opposed to putting up a lot of flash and CG. Yeah, I mean, I'm in for it. It looks great.
I want more horror movies that take the slow approach than just throw everything gore in my face.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because there's not enough of them. Very few of them that do it well. I got the impression they were trying really hard in this trailer, so I want to see it.
It was actually there was one shot in the trailer that I thought was pretty gruesome for all audiences thing, too. When she smacked her head on that door, I was like, you don't normally see that in a Green Van trailer. I mean, it wasn't like blood and guts or anything like that, but
plus it was a door. I mean, it's not like a deadly door. It's a door.
It's not like she headbutted a hatchet. And also, I mean, it does have, which you really didn't see them in the preview here, but Vera Farmiga.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be in the Psycho TV show.
Yes.
She's in it, and Patrick Wilson,
who was in Insidious, that James Wan also directed. So
The one thing I hate is when these trailers start off with that based on true events. At least slap some quotation marks around the true shit, because come on.
We kind of
stretching the definition of true.
think it was true.
Well, right. And now, this is all, like I said, this is actually based on some files that these ghost hunters have. Now, this was written back in these files were apparently back in the 70s. So.
Well, they had ghosts back then. So.
Well, yeah, but, they didn't have the fact checkers that they do now, I'm not sure
that was before
I'm not sure WikiLeaks was on the case back then to back up their facts. In the meantime, hey, if nothing else, hopefully it makes for a good story. The Conjuring opens up on July 19th later this year. So,
you couldn't do The Conjuring appears. Come on.
The theaters are conjuring up the opening on July 19th.
I'm feeling disconnected. Let's move on.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Oh, well, all righty. Well, in the vein of Traffic and 21 Grams comes Disconnect. See what Aaron just did there, folks?
Genius.
It's about
genius.
It follows a lot of different storylines that all work together at some point in the movie. But you got a lawyer who can't put down a cell phone, and really who can, struggling to kind of stay connected with his family. Another couple faces some dangerous situations when their secrets are exposed from a hacker. You got some cyber bullies and a journalist who kind of sees this big career-making story that kind of ties everybody together. It's actually got Jason Bateman in it, and I, for one, am actually excited to see him do something besides a kind of a goofy comedy. So for me, I like these movies that have the multiple threads that you kind of see by probably around 2/3 of the way of the movie, they're all kind of starting to come together in some fashion. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. I don't know. What about you, Justin?
No, not really. Those kinds of films, they work for you. I don't really care for them that much. I like my cast of characters to be a bit smaller, and the story to really focus on them as opposed to spreading it around across a dozen different people. I've never really cared for those kinds of films in the past. The trailer looked okay, but again, it just kind of showed a film that looked like it was going to be too busy hopping around telling a lot of stories as opposed to telling one really good one. So it doesn't really work for me, but I did like Jason Bateman, his little bits that we saw in the trailer. He looks like he's, being Jason Bateman, and that's usually good.
Scott just pimped you out.
What'd he say?
Weren't you the one that just loved Cloud Atlas?
Yeah, I love Cloud Atlas, but for one, there was a very limited number of actors portraying all these different characters who were all connected throughout time. And that's also a bit of an exception. I don't normally go in for that kind of story where all of these multitudes of characters are having their stories told. But the filmmaking of that movie and just the artistry brought to it overcame my normal reticence about big casts of characters. So
all of that summed up in one word called hypocrite.
Well, I'm gonna make you squeal like a pig. You don't shut up.
Bring it, sugar daddy.
I couldn't disagree with Justin and agree with Scott more. This looks fantastic. Or was it Scott or Brian? Sorry, Brian.
It was me. It's Brian's trailer park, not Scott's trailer park.
Well, those southern accents are almost...
Welcome to the podcast once again there, Fearless Leader.
You can't tell them apart.
Anyway, to see Jason Bateman in a serious role, I'm really looking forward to it. I've researched this since I saw the trailer. It's gotten a lot of really strong fan reaction from screenings they've had. They got a standing ovation in, I guess, Venice or something. So I'm very curious to see it. I love these connected films when they work. Very rarely do they ever work, but I definitely want to check it out. As long as it's better than Crash, because I don't care if it won the Oscar. Crash was not a good movie.
No, it wasn't.
I'm actually with Brian and Aaron as well. Although at first I thought this trailer was going to be another public service announcement in movie form about how I need to not be on my cell phone as much.
You should pay attention to that, too.
But I was pleasantly surprised. It looks really intense and something I just really want to see and see what happens and how it all ties together. And it's already been said, but I love seeing Jason Bateman in something different. I like Jason Bateman in the goofy roles, too, but I like seeing him in a serious role without the comedic
I think he has the
element.
potential to be a very strong, serious actor.
I do, too,
So.
and I want to see it.
Couldn't agree more. 3 out of 4 win. Justin, you suck. All right, well, check out these and more at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. And you can holler back at us in a few different ways. Our email is feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com, facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsiders, and you can tweet us at @H_outsider. Don't forget, you can also get your official I'm a Ho t-shirts at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Aaron, who's got a question for us?
All right, now it's time for Stump.
What the hell was that?
Oh, Lord have mercy. We all need help.
Stump the Hoe.
Stump the Hoe. Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts in an attempt to stump their fellow hoes as well as you listening. This week, it is Scott's turn. So, Scott, what is your question?
All right. Justin has to answer last. You probably guess why. In a short while, we're going to be hearing about Aaron's review of Jack the Giant Slayer, which stars, amongst others, Ewan McGregor. The actor says that he was inspired by his uncle Dennis, who played a role in the original Star Wars trilogy. What character did McGregor's uncle play in those 3 films? Was it A, C-3PO, B, Wedge, C, Chewbacca, or D, Biggs?
Biggs.
All right. Brian?
His uncle?
Ewan McGregor's uncle played in all 3 of the original Star Wars films.
Oh.
Oh, in all 3?
Mm-hmm.
Well, shit. Biggs wasn't in all 3.
I'll go with Wedge.
Okay. Justin?
I don't.
It is
Whatever.
Rogue Leader, Wedge Antilles.
And yes, it is Wedge.
God damn it. Stupid fucking game.
Stupid host. Stupid man.
All right, now let's go to the big screen and review any new releases. This week we each have one. We've got Last Exorcism II, 21 and over, and Jack the Giant Slayer. Let's go Last Exorcism II first. Justin, tell us about the next Last Exorcism.
Are you sure it's going to be the last?
I think it is after the box office numbers, yes.
Oh, yikes, it could be. Okay, so in preparation for this, I actually rewatched The Last Exorcism on Blu-ray at home just to refresh my memory of the characters, situation, blah, blah, blah. Really didn't need to do that because they kind of do that in the beginning of this one. They give you a nice little quick montage of the events of the previous film. Short and sweet. I really hope this is The Last Exorcism. I was just bored fucking shitless with this film. It took way too long to get to the point. There was far too much meandering. They spent practically no money on this film, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing. But when they did choose to spend a little money, it all felt a bit half-hearted. Ashley Bell, who plays the lead character in this movie, as well as the previous one, she does a pretty credible job with doing what she needs to do, but it's everybody around her that kind of dropped the ball. But ultimately, it was the writer and the director of this film that did most of the ball dropping. It was directed by Ed Gasdonnelly. Writers were Damien Chazelle, the same guy as the director, and 3 more people whose credits I don't see in front of me, but who really fucking cares? It sucked. They set the film in New Orleans, and other than a Mardi Gras scene, you really got nothing of New Orleans in this film, and that's a shame because New Orleans is one of those cities that has a very deep kind of, I wouldn't say supernatural history, but it definitely has a history steeped in Catholicism, voodoo, and all sorts of things. There's one shot of one of the above-ground cemeteries, and You would think in a movie like this, they would really try and take advantage of some of the more strange scenery and locations that New Orleans has to offer. They didn't use the city the way they should have. They took too long. They didn't put enough effort into really making this thing unique. I will say that the very end of the film is pretty interesting because I didn't see it ending the way that it did. But the entire 87 or so minutes leading up to that were pretty much of a snooze fest. So out of 10, I'd probably give this one, $4.50.
Mm.
And that's kind of being kind. If you've seen the first one, just stick with that. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever to see this one except for the last couple of minutes.
So you didn't
and
get
that'll be on YouTube soon.
You didn't get any benefit from it being shot in real film style this time, or the
No, because
New
you
Orleans
lose a
setting?
lot of the intimacy and you lose a lot of the tension that found footage can really give you because, your screen is basically the eyes of one of these characters who's running in fucking fear of their life, and their field of view is limited to just exactly what you see in front of you. That gives you a lot of drama. That can give you some scares. This didn't have any of that, and so they had to try and generate it other ways, and they didn't. It was rather boring.
That's really too bad. What about you, Scott? You went to 21 and over. Do you fare any better?
Did I fare any better than Justin?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. If you've seen the trailer, you know the story. Two guys want to take their buddy out on his 21st birthday to get him wasted the night before. He has this big exam. He fights against it. They talk him into it. Blah blah blah. Debauchery happens. Not a real deep story.
That's really the entire plot, isn't it?
That pretty much. They try to give it a little more serious turn towards the second third of the movie, and it doesn't work. They try to give it a serious edge, and they just need to stick with the comedy formula. The acting pretty much subpar. No one really stood out. The only one I recognized was Skylar Astin, who was in Pitch Perfect. He played the love interest in that movie, but he's okay. The only seasoned actor I saw was Francois Chow. He's the guy that plays the Jeff Chang's father, who wants him up and prepared for the test, or whatever. And he was okay, but he seemed completely out of place in amongst the other actors that were just really dumb college kids. Overall, nothing to write home about. Production, again, nothing really special, especially in a comedy about just drinking and getting wasted. They tried really, really too hard. I mean, there's literally a scene where just a random topless girl just shows up. Nothing related to the story whatsoever.
That happens, Scott. I mean, you should come out with me every Friday.
Apparently, yeah. I was in Vegas with you. I saw 0 topless girls.
Oh. Sorry.
It was there just for the sake of having nudity, and that just I don't know. The writing was just really bad.
What you people got against boobies?
I have nothing against boobies. I like them very much.
Apparently, that's what's wrong. You got nothing. Oh, forget it.
The writing was just really bad, which is sad considering the places it could have gone with that story element. But like I said, it started to get that serious note, kind of like Good Morning Vietnam did. But Good Morning Vietnam.
What?
Good Morning Vietnam was a comedy, and then it turned super serious in the final act of that movie.
Okay, because that was a random comparison. I'm like, how the fuck does that compare? Robin Williams.
Well, because that took a serious turn, and it kept going serious, and that's what the movie wound up being actually about.
Mm-hmm.
This one alluded to a really serious plot device that just didn't work, and then turned it around and turned that into a joke that just wasn't
like
funny.
They realized when they were shooting, oh shit, this isn't going to play. We got to switch back to a comedy.
I think that it feels kind of like that, actually.
Yeah,
it just wound up being really dumb. It was a lackluster attempt to do something different with a comedy. Overall, I was severely disappointed. This is my kind of movie. You know that. It might have been funnier 10 years ago before the American Pies and the Hangovers and that kind of thing.
Before you became old fuddy-duddy?
No, it's not even what it's about, because I love this kind of film usually. They tried too hard to do something different. It didn't work. All the funny parts, save for a couple one-liners, were in the trailer. And granted, I will say I did see this movie by myself, and this is the kind of movie that's more fun to see with people because you're laughing with somebody, that kind of thing. So if seeing it with a group of friends, I don't think it would have made me enjoyed enough to give it any more merit than I did. It did make me laugh on more than one occasion, but not enough to give it a decent score. I give it a 3.50.
Holy shit.
I didn't see you begging for people to go watch it with you on Facebook.
Yeah, I didn't feel like getting a lot of shit for it. So
Did you go alone? You went alone?
I did.
Aww.
Oh no, where's the Lonely Man music?
I figured you would have had it queued up.
So it wasn't as funny as The Hangover then?
Not even by a long shot.
Really?
And the characters are so stereotypical. You've got the Stifler. You've got the one guy that wants to have fun but wants to be straight laced, and then they throw this love interest in there that just doesn't make any sense, and it's just
Really?
so poorly written.
Oh, that's
Really
too
bad.
Were there any monkeys?
No monkeys.
It nibbles on its weenus. All right. Well, apparently I'm the only one that fared well on this endeavor. I went and saw Jack the Giant Slayer, which is apparently this year's John Carter, meaning that it had a huge budget, so therefore it's going to get a lot of bad press, and it's just not fair. Jack the Giant Slayer, real simple. The movie takes place in medieval times where giants, they once ruled the earth. Man somehow found a way to expel them to the clouds, essentially. Just between, I think they called it, between heaven and earth. But the only way for the giants to return is found in some magic beans protected by Eric the Great, or as the giants know him, Eric the Terrible. These beans, when wet, just like gremlins, create a beanstalk that reaches the heights of the giant's land, and then the
Gremlins create beanstalks?
That's from the sequel, if you didn't see it.
Oh.
While screwing things up at his local kingdom, Jack is given these beans to protect by a monk. That same night, the king's daughter flees her arranged marriage and ends up with Jack when one of these beans gets wet and sends the princess flying up to the giant's land. So Jack joins forces to rescue her with Ewan McGregor, whose character's name is Elmont. He's the king's right hand. And Roderick, who's played by Stanley Tucci, who is the princess's would-be suitor. And let me tell you, that's just an odd couple. So once they arrive, they realize that Roderick has a much different objective in mind, and he has a way to control the giants and wants to claim Earth for himself. So the rest of the film is Jack winning the princess and everybody else fighting a bunch of giants. That's the plot. The story unfolds. I felt like the story unfolds like the adventurous fairy tale it's really trying to be. There's a lot of quirky characters, there's a lot of daring adventure kind of scenes and clever quips. It really felt like an old-fashioned fairy tale. All of it works because they cast the film extremely well. Nicholas Hoult plays Jack, and he was the guy from Warm Bodies, and you guys you spoke pretty highly of him. He impressed the hell out of me. He is a really sweet, good-natured, just solid actor. He doesn't overdo it. He doesn't oversell it. I mean, he just seems very naturally relaxed, and he has this natural evolution from this, mild, meek, I don't want to be here, I'm destined for bigger things, to this adventurous, I can save the princess and protect my land kind of thing. It's a natural progression, unlike most movies where it feels forced. And then Eleanor Tomlinson plays Princess Isabel, and together they're just an adorable couple. I read several reviews where they knocked the romance. I totally disagree. I thought it was very sweet. It really felt very Princess Bride to me, which is a compliment. So, fuck you. Sorry, Justin just sent me a message that says, these two are a sweet mix, and I really felt for them every time they were on screen. Holt in particular, I really liked it. McGregor, just damn cool. He plays like a more fun version of Obi-Wan.
Huh.
He just has that right machismo and suave heroism to pull it off. Stanley Tucci, he was good as Roderick, but he's a little over the top, so it didn't really impress me. Ian McShane was really solid as King Bromwell.
Ian.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
There's only one Ian in movies and TV. And that's Ian Ziering from 90210.
Everyone else?
Ian McShane is very solid. Nothing. But Bill Nighy voices the lead giant, General Fallon, and every time he spoke, all I kept thinking was Davy Jones.
Oh yeah.
Every single time, I'm like,
I'm
just waiting for him to say Jack Sparrow. Bryan Singer directed the movie. Good special effects, but they're not even close to the Hobbit movies. And that's really, if people are going to complain, that's probably going to be the one complaint. The giants don't look as good as the Hobbit. And they spent just as much money, so somebody should have just walked over to Peter Jackson's house, knocked on the door, and said, "Hey, got a hand?" Nobody did. But keeps everything flowing. The movie felt very, very good pace. Kudos for all the giants biting people's heads off. There's a lot of shots of that. That always impresses me. And there's some really good 3D shots. Every time they show a shot that's actually on the beanstalk or something's taking place really close to that, just the texture and the layers look really good. Really, so I was really impressed. So verdict, overall, I had zero expectations walking into this one. I really didn't even want to see it. I saw it alone, and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't have to beg on Facebook for friends. I just felt like seeing it alone. Just really wasn't looking forward to it, but I was pleasantly surprised. Nicholas Hoult and McGregor really sold the story, even when the effects weren't as good as they could have been. Good old-fashioned storytelling. $10 the full price, I give it $7.50.
Nice.
And if you like him, you really should check out Warm Bodies.
I will on video. I'm just not going to go to the theater and see it.
the way you described why you liked him in this film is a lot of why I liked him in that film as well. So
and it's just like with Taylor Kitsch. I thought Taylor Kitsch was really good in John Carter, but unfortunately his career took a hit because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, this kid had warm bodies, so I think he'll be fine. But I think he did a really good job. I mean, he impressed me. Because usually when they go from I'm not a hero to a hero, that you either never buy it or you never thought they weren't a hero to begin with.
that makes sense.
He seems like a meek kid at the beginning, and then seems like a hero at the end. So good job. Box office. The Hobbit finally passed $1 billion worldwide.
Nice.
Jack the Giant Slayer it was number one. It made $27.2 million, but unfortunately the budget was $195 million. So ridiculous. It's got to make like $600 or $700 million total to break even. It's not going to do it because with marketing and everything, it comes close to $300 million. So they're going to call it a flop. It's really not fair. The movie is good. I wish more people would go see it.
They just need to make a trailer that makes me want to see it more. I don't know.
I agree. The trailer was awful. I had no desire to see it. But Identity Thief, $9.7 million. That movie will not die. It's tractor size. It's got $107 million total. 21 and over, huge flop, $8.7 million for opening weekend. Snitch, $7.7 million for a $24.4 million total. That tells you that The Rock should only do what? Part 2 movies. He should never start his own. And The Last Exorcism Part 2, $7.7 million, which is a third less than the first movie made. Awful opening.
I can't imagine it costs more than $1 million to make. So they're already in the black.
$5 million. $5 million. And Phantom, we talked about Phantom. That opened in over 1,000 theaters and made $470,000.
Good Lord.
Basically sold 4 tickets per showtime the whole weekend.
The whole
Poor David Duchovny.
Oh, he's going to be on Californication forever.
All right, guys, we have 4 films that we're going to be talking about, all of them opening up on March 15th. The first one is Upside Down. Now, this is a romantic fantasy film written and directed by Juan Diego Solanas, starring Jim Sturgis and Kirsten Dunst. The film is about Adam, a seemingly ordinary guy in a very extraordinary universe. He lives humbly, trying to make ends meet, but his romantic spirit holds on to the memory of a girl he loved once upon a time from another world, an inverted affluent world with its own gravity, directly above but beyond reach, a girl named Eden. Their childhood flirtation becomes an impossible love, but when he catches a glimpse of grown-up Eden on television, nothing will get in the way of getting her back, not even the laws of science. Now, Aaron, some have said that our love is impossible, yet we've defied them at every turn. Do you think this film could be our film?
All I kept thinking was, she blinded me with science.
Upside down. That's what I keep thinking.
I don't want to see it. I saw the trailer, and I see why you would be into it, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally your kind of movie. It's just not something I'm really into. I like the concept of the flip worlds and the visually how it looks. It's just the actual story doesn't concern me. It doesn't interest me. It doesn't pique my interest. Doesn't make me think, maybe. I just no interest. And plus, Snaggletooth, she just doesn't work for me. I just don't like her as an actress.
I saw this trailer, and I see Kirsten Dunst in a big planet that's really close to another planet, and it makes me think of Melancholia, and I want nothing to do with that movie whatsoever. But the initial concept is right up my alley. It just looks like it's going to be so cheesy. It looks...
It's just the acting and the dialogue and the story just seem like, no.
It looks Romeo and Juliet, but with cool special effects and pretty scenery.
Does that mean you want to see it, Brian?
I like the pretty pictures. I ain't going to lie.
Thank you, Brian.
I do. I'm very fucking shallow, if you hadn't figured it out.
I like Jim Sturgis. I liked him a lot in Cloud Atlas. I liked him as Q in Skyfall. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in this film, too. Kirsten Dunst, they could have picked somebody a lot better. Maybe Zooey Deschanel or something.
Yeah, I would be all over that.
All right.
I can see, yeah. Hi, look at this upside down world. Oh, this is so crazy.
Was that your impression of Zooey Deschanel?
Yeah,
it
sorry.
was awful.
I'm doing jazz hands. Yes. I'm doing jazz hands with it too, though. So,
hello, baby. Hello, Madonna.
Brian, you should take that act on the road, my brother.
I'll work up a little thing, a little ditty. Right.
The next film, Spring Breakers. This is a comedy drama written and directed by Harmony Korine, starring James Franco, Selena Gomez, Vanessa Hudgens, Ashley Benson, and Rachel Korine, who I'm guessing is related to the director in some shape, form, or fashion. This film was actually selected to compete for the Golden Lion at the 69th Venice International Film Festival. College girls Faith, Candy, Britt, and Cotty are close friends who share a dorm room and wish for excitement and pleasure instead of their boring school life. When the annual spring break begins, the four find themselves without sufficient funds for a trip to Florida. To score quick money for their trip, they do what we all do. They successfully rob of the convenience store. Unfortunately, they're soon found and arrested on drug charges. Strangely enough, though, they're bailed out by hustling gangster Alien, played by James Franco, who takes the party animals under his wing and into the vast criminal underworld. As the young friends are seduced by the suave and dangerous gangster, it becomes unclear on how far they'll go to have an unforgettable spring break. Scotty, you're soon going to be teaching Pretty Little Things like this. Think you can handle their jelly, or are you going to see this film just to see what horrors you're in store for?
First off, I'm teaching elementary kids, so...
Oh, they're getting older every day, man.
Every day, man. Mm-hmm. You get older, forget it.
Yeah, that's borderline creepy.
All right.
I have zero... Well, I can't say zero interest because I kind of would like to see James Franco play that role, but I can wait for cable. I just... Nothing about this movie besides him makes me want to see it.
It's like the dude from True Romance and a bunch of CW girls just get together and make a movie, and I don't get it at all. I just don't get it.
I don't get why he chose it.
It's a fucking Disney Channel. Yeah. It's a Disney show that's just gone bad.
This is like the behind the scenes of a real Disney show. This is what happens when they actually go on tour.
Crazy Coke, whores, and partying, whatever.
I don't know anybody that really wants to see this. I mean, except for to see James Franco and see what he's going to do with that, because he does look like he's having fun.
Selena Gomez will sell some tickets. So
what's that?
Selena Gomez will sell some tickets. I guarantee.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Who's a big Selena Gomez fan?
Justin Bieber and all the Bieberettes.
Yeah, like teenage girls are gonna like.
You know what I want to know? I want to see some kid that actually goes and sees Oz, and sees James Franco. I really like James Franco. I want to be a great man. And then sees this is playing and talks to his mom because she doesn't pay attention to those damn ratings. And then they go see this one. It's just gonna fuck them up for life. I want to see that.
That's what you're
kid.
all about.
That's what I'm all about. Yep.
All right. Well, the next one is The Call. This is a thriller starring Halle Berry and Abigail Breslin and directed by Brad Anderson, who's known primarily for his work directing television shows like The Wire, The Shield, and Fringe. When veteran 911 operator Jordan Turner, played by Halle Berry, receives a call from a girl who's just been abducted, she soon realizes that she must confront a killer from her past in order to save the girl's life. Brian, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. You going to answer this call? I got nothing else.
No, man, I'm letting this one go to voicemail.
Maybe that's the sequel.
Oh,
Voicemail.
That's awesome.
This last actually looks atrocious. I don't. This just does not appeal to me on any level at all.
Disagree completely. I think it looks like a dumb.
How
fun
on earth
thriller.
is this a good movie?
It looks like a good dumb fun thriller.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You're wrong.
I think it just looks like a quickly thrown together thriller with a lead of the popular lead actress.
You can't. By definition, you can't have a dumb thriller.
You can. You're just dialing the wrong number. I'm telling you, this movie looks good.
I'm about to hang up on your ass.
Oh.
Hey, the puns are my business.
You know what, Justin? All I hear is a busy signal. What I'm telling you, Brian, is that if the movie looks like it's stupid, I get what the plot is going to be, but it looks kind of fun. It looks like one of those movies where I can check my brain at the door, maybe revel in somebody's really dumb choices and have a nice, fun ride. And I love Halle Berry. I think Halle Berry actually sometimes can work really well. She won an Oscar, I hear.
She's a really good actress, but she's making shit movies for the last decade.
That's true. I'll give you that. But I do want to see it. I think it looks interesting.
All right, let's go ahead and move on now. Hang up this call and go on something else. Last one, The Incredible Burt Wonderstone, is a comedy directed by Don Scardino, starring Steve Carell, Steve Buscemi, and Jim Carrey. The film actually began development back in 2006 when New Line Cinema bought a script entitled Burt Dickinson, the most powerful magician on planet Earth. The development process gained some momentum when Charles McDougall was hired as director in 2011, but he eventually left the project and was replaced by Scardino. Daly and Goldstein rewrote the script, which then saw further rewrites from Jason Reitman in June 2011. The film is about Burt Wonderstone, played by Carell, and Anton Marvelton, played by Buscemi. They're a successful magic act in Las Vegas. Their partnership comes to an end when Anton is injured by Burt during their hotbox trick, and Anton moves to the Far East. When Burt is overshadowed by popular street magician Steve Gray, played by Jim Carrey, he must convince Anton to return to the act to regain his standing by all means necessary. I flirted with magic when I was a kid, but when I saw the likes of David Copperfield, I knew I could never pull off that level of hair, so I gave it up. This movie actually looks funny enough that it might make me want to pick up those old Mark cards again. Do any of you guys want to see this one?
Absolutely. I think this looks fantastic. I think it looks so funny.
Looks like Blades of Glory with magicians.
And good.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Talladega Nights with magicians. Any Will Ferrell movie with magicians.
It does smell like a Will Ferrell movie.
It totally feels like a Will Ferrell. Except I like Steve Carell a lot better. So.
Yeah.
We talked about this when the trailer came out. This is one of those movies where I had no idea it was even being made, and I saw the trailer and I'm on board. Sold. Ticket sold.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm in. This looks fun. Just kind of, as Aaron would say, check your brain at the door. But
that's what these kind of comedies are all about. Just
absolutely.
Silly slapstick shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
If you have a brain, you can't really enjoy it. So you have to check it. You have to. I'm saying you have to remove. Brian, shut up. Just hang up. Move on.
All right, guys. Well, of these four films, Upside Down, Inside, Spring Breakers, The Call, and The Incredible Burt Wonderstone, which of these four films are you most likely to go see on March 15th? Aaron?
The Call. Just kidding. I want to see The Incredible Burt Wonderstone.
Scotty?
Burt Wonderstone for the win.
Are we still saying that? Brian?
1995 called.
Upside Down.
All right, yeah, I got to go with Brian. Upside Down. So it looks like it's a 2-2 split.
That's right. Wow. So by default, we win.
That's right.
By default, we win in a tie. In the event of a tie, we win.
In the event of a tie, my side wins.
That's right. House rules.
Okay, well, you can hear us on iTunes, Zune. Go listen on your Stitcher Radio app and give us a thumbs up if you do, or any RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or listener-suggested clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com or send us a direct message at Twitter at @H_outsider, and we'll announce those that got it correct in the air and give you a proper shout-out. We are recording a little bit early, so if anybody gets this in the next couple, or last week's in the next couple of days, we'll be sure to give them a shout-out. Last week's answer was Escape from L.A. Those that got it correct, Mark T. and Sean M. had Escape from New York. He had the right franchise, so we'll give you credit. I'll give you half a point. It was pretty close. This week it's Justin's turn, so if you think you know what this clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Here you go.
You guys are totally in love, aren't you?
Zachary, we are.
Wow. God, I want to eat him up. Save some for me.
I can't keep my hands off him. I'm so
you've
sorry.
Had one too many
You know what? Although
tonight.
he does most of the eating in the sack, if you know what I mean. In the sack and of the sack.
All right, that's enough.
Know.
You've drunk too much. You do this every time. You get too merry for everybody in the room, and you can't contain yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. And by containing myself, do you mean containing myself in the closet? In a closet of denial? No. Is that
Shit, this just got real. No.
Okay, now we're back. Now let's go to the couch. We're talking about TV and home video. Justin finally reviewed a show that was in its first season, and guess what happens? Yep, it got canceled. 0 Hour was canceled after only 3 airings.
Oh, my God. You know, I don't even know really where to start with talking about this. Because I know on the one hand, I am, and no, this is not me saying that the me. People like me who have been fucked over by the networks, and so who now aren't watching their shows in their first season, we are kind of to blame for this happening, because I'm hoping that there are millions of people out there following my good example and are staying away from these shows because we're doing that, these shows aren't getting numbers. And so they're not getting numbers and they're being canceled. And so it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. But on the other hand, we have been fucked by far too many shows being canceled in their first season. 3 episodes, people. 3. How does a network actually expect a show to develop a following in 3 episodes? And Zero Hour already kind of had some things not in its favor right off the bat. It looked like I wouldn't say a brainy show, but it looked like one of those shows that had a real mythology that it was working through.
Well, yeah, you actually had to pay attention a little bit.
Yeah, there wasn't anything, procedural about it. It wasn't, all right, who's dead this week, who's been knocked up this week. It was a show about an idea, and so that kind of show takes some time to really get itself going. And so I watched the pilot strictly because it was available on iTunes. I could watch it without having to wait through commercials, see if it was any good, and then wait till it got picked up for, second season. Because I did that and a lot of other people did it, it got 0 ratings, and now it's gone. And this just confirms that I'm doing the right thing, and I am this close. And if you were in my office, you'd see my fingers are about a ½ inch apart. This close to just swearing off network television altogether and just sticking with cable. FX is giving me what I want. AMC is giving me what I want. And they're not canceling shows after 3 fucking episodes. Why should I stick around anymore, ABC, CBS, Fox? Why should I bother? Because you obviously have no faith in your shows. So why should I?
Well, Justin, to be fair, they do have that celebrity diving show that they got to squeeze in there. So,
yeah, what the fuck is that?
Well, and that exactly is the really kind of the underlying point. If a show costs a moderate amount of money to make, they will cancel it quick and shove in its place a show that takes no money to produce because they get B-list celebrities or jag-offs that want to be celebrities, throw them in some stupid situation, and boom, now you got a show. And they cost no money, they're easy to produce, and the dumb shit public who is not listening to this show watch this crap. And so that's where they can make their money, off of this easy-to-do shit. But as soon as the show takes some money and takes time, they cannot run away fast enough. Why do you even bother making the show? Why bother? Because I guarantee you a lot of money went into developing it and getting it going. Why bother if you're going to cancel it in 3 episodes?
And I honestly think a show like this should have been released on cable anyway. I don't think it was ever going to find a home on a network anymore. It's just too hard for them to catch.
And I saw there's only like 3 types of shows that make money for networks. That's some sort of cop or government shows, cop/government/lawyer, medical shows, and shit reality shows. Mm-hmm. That's it. Look at, it doesn't matter if it's a medical examiner or if it's a ER, hospital, courtroom dramas, Blue Bloods, Law and Order SUV, whatever it is.
SUV. Law and Order in my truck.
Little joke grenade there.
No, it wasn't. It was a dumb grenade.
It's just ridiculous.
You're just being an asshole.
It's just ridiculous. And yeah, I wouldn't even be watched. The only way I watch these shows anymore is if they're on like Hulu or Netflix. I'll catch them then. I am done. I am done with the networks.
And did you guys see any marketing for it? I think I saw one commercial, and it was so vague.
I don't really watch network TV that much, so.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I can't say that they didn't advertise it enough because I don't watch enough network TV to see it.
Yeah, but a lot of these shows though they find their way of getting to you.
Right, and I saw it on Facebook. They were advertising it quite a bit on Facebook, and those ads on Facebook were interesting. They caught my eye. I was like, that seems kind of interesting. I'll try and keep it on my radar. I shouldn't have bothered.
Well, don't say that. Shit happens. Yeah, but it was launched on
Fox.
It was launched on Valentine's Day too. What the hell is that? Nobody's gonna be watching TV. Then they're gonna be too busy pretending that they love their whoever.
Well, plus the clip that I did see, or rather the trailer that I did see, was so ambiguous as to what the show was actually about. The one that we saw months ago when we talked about
it was Goose's Afterlife. Sorry.
Well, when Lost really succeeded, a lot of networks tried to replicate it with their own quasi-mystical, sci-fi kind of show. This looks like it was trying to go for that same kind of feel. That's great, but even in the short amount of time since Lost finished, people have really radically changed the way they watch television. I don't know anybody who really watches TV on the night when it airs, or even the week that it airs.
I don't. I sure don't. Usually I'm like the week after, 2 weeks after. That's why God made DVR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love watching 2 or 3 episodes back to back, and it's, there's really, I mean, even Walking Dead, I don't watch it, from the time that it comes on. I usually probably about a half an hour or so after that, forward through the commercials, done.
Well, you will be happy to know the following got renewed for a 15-episode season 2, so you can finally start watching that one.
All right.
Congrats.
I'll put that on my queue.
Steven Spielberg is developing Stanley Kubrick's Napoleon for a miniseries.
So what? I mean, the last time he messed around with a Kubrick movie, it sucked baboon balls. I mean, this thing with AI was fucking horrible. He should just, I don't know, whatever fascination he's got. Maybe, did he inherit some of Stanley Kubrick's?
I don't know what the obsession is, but he keeps taking care of stuff he didn't finish for some reason.
Just let him and his work be dead. Just
I
let
liked
it. Just,
AI
He
up
already
until
is.
that shitty twist ending.
up until
I didn't.
it was a
okay.
horrible
That
movie.
was okay. Like the ending was just.
I
If
didn't
you
like
stop
it.
it at the end of at the bottom of the ocean, I think that's a great movie. Past it, and then you're just pissing on everything that came before it.
I was just bored to tears watching that.
It was a
one.
little long.
But I don't like
Watching
Kubrick's
that
work.
makes me wish I was at the bottom of the ocean.
I just don't like Kubrick that much. I really think he's an overrated director.
I agree.
It's almost it's anarchy to say that, but it's true. I just don't like Kubrick's work. I'm sorry. So I don't want to see whatever his take on Napoleon was. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not super interested.
Taylor Kitsch, Jim Parsons, Julia Roberts, Mark Ruffalo, and Matthew Bomer have all been cast in HBO's adaptation of the play The Normal Heart. The film revolves around it's the onset of the HIV/AIDS crisis in the 80s. Jim Parsons also reviving his Tony Award-winning role from the series.
What an interesting, diverse cast, I think.
It is, and I will tell you, I have seen a lot of YouTube video of Jim Parsons' performance, and people know him as Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
Mm-hmm.
He's phenomenal. Really, you would not even know he plays Sheldon. I mean, the guy is just amazing.
That was going to be my point. Is I've never even heard of him before Big Bang Theory, but I've seen interviews with him, and he's a completely different person than Sheldon. Like he is acting as Sheldon. You kind of might get the impression from watching that show that he's just being himself, but he's not like that at all. He's very much an actor, as you like to say. The one problem, it's got Taylor Kitsch. Isn't that kind of doomsday for?
No, I think he's a decent actor.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Doomsday, yeah. Well, it's not going to be on HBO, so it doesn't have to make money.
Right, but in all seriousness, I'm sure it'll be great, especially considering the cast and that HBO is behind it. But I tend to shy away from this kind of stuff, though, just because again, it breeds controversy.
Do you only want college frat parties in your movies?
No, but I might watch it just to see Jim Parsons act.
I really recommend it. Any of you guys that haven't seen him play that role, or at least find his presence on the play, because there's a lot of it on YouTube. Just phenomenal. Very impressive. And apparently Brian and Justin don't care.
Not really.
All right.
Nah.
Or, I guess, yes, you're right.
All right, let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scott.
All right, we're looking at March 12th's releases. First up is The Life of Pi. I'm sorry, not The Life of Pi. Life of Pi, which was reviewed by Brian back on episode 70. He gave it a $6.50 out of 10.
But it was an awesome review, I just want to say.
It was pretty good. Had a little bit of
Check that
southern
out.
twang to it.
Academy
but-
Award.
Yeah, there was at least 6 pauses.
Yeah. A young man finds himself stranded on a small boat with a live Bengal tiger and experiences an adventure of discovery. Oh, and it won Oscar for Best Director. Nailed it.
Jesus.
Rise of the Guardians, animated film where a team comprised of Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and Jack Frost must save the children of the world from an evil spirit. Justin doesn't want to see Santa Claus with tats, apparently. Cirque du Soleil, worlds away. This film, based on and including performances from the popular stage presentation, follows the story of a young woman and man who fall in love and find themselves trying to find each other in the dreamlike world of Cirque du Soleil.
I want to interject.
I would like to see that.
I'm sure it's beautiful to watch, but if you haven't seen them in concert, find a way to do that. Because that's a treat for yourself. It's worth whatever $100 that you got to spend for it.
I've heard.
I've seen them twice, both of them in Vegas. And, they're good.
They are amazing to watch.
I wonder if like a Blu-ray of this will do that justice or not. You'll have to watch it and tell me.
Oh, they'll be swinging at your face.
No, I didn't say 3D.
Well, it's not 3D.
The movie was in 3D when it came out.
Yeah?
Well, oh well.
You have a 3D TV? I don't.
No, but if I run at it.
Does Aaron 3D? He just got a head bobs.
Next up is Hitchcock. This stars Anthony Hopkins as the influential filmmaker.
Move on.
And tells,
Fuck you, cock.
It tells a love story between he and his wife, who's played by Helen Mirren, during the filming of Psycho back in 1959. Aaron reviewed this back on episode 69 and, not surprisingly, gave it a $9 out of 10.
What do you mean, not surprisingly? It's a good movie, fucker.
I believe it's a good movie.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Sound City. This is a documentary directed by musician Dave Grohl of Nirvana and Foo Fighter fame about the fabled recording studio.
Foo Fighter fame. Wow, that's a
alliteration for the win.
That could trip you up.
Fabled recording studio of the same name that was located in California. And lastly, You've Been Trumped. Is this one a joke that I don't get?
Nope.
In this David and Goliath story for the 21st century, a group of proud Scottish homeowners take on celebrity tycoon Donald Trump as he buys up one of Scotland's last wilderness areas to build a golf resort.
Yeah, it's a documentary.
About Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Him being a complete douche nozzle, yes.
I want to see
that.
I want to see that movie.
It got decent reviews from what I looked at.
Yeah, he reviewed them all. He paid them. They're probably on his payroll.
This is about him being an asshole. So it's, and I would like to see it. I've seen some bits and pieces of it. Trump just comes off like a huge pompous windbag, which isn't abnormal for him, but God almighty.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
All right, well, with that, we'll move on to our flashback segment. This is where once a week one of us hoes brings to the table
Once every 2 weeks.
Once every 2 weeks.
You got one job, Scott. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Was he writing down? Yep. One more time. I'm not going to kill him.
Volume 3. And now we'll move on to our flashback segment. This is where once every other week, one of us hoes brings to the table a little-known or obscure film that, in the hopes of getting us as well as our fellow listeners a chance to check it out. This week it's Brian's turn. Brian, what do you have for us?
All right, I'm going way back, and I'm going to pick a movie called, well, I think a lot of us have seen it. I don't know how many people out there have actually seen it, but this was one of my favorite movies as a kid. It led up to one of my favorite childhood movies in Clash of the Titans, even though that doesn't translate well anymore. But it's Jason and the Argonauts. Ray,
wow, this is flashing back.
Yeah, it's like 50 years old now. I didn't realize it was that old. So when you kind of view it in the context of how old it is, the special effects are phenomenal. Even though it's that stop motion stuff that Ray Harryhausen is, just basically legendary just for. It's actually regarded as his best piece of work. Plot's basically simple. It's Jason and his crew search for the Golden Fleece. But it's just one of my favorites. Just the scene that really, you've got like this the giant colossus that's chasing Jason and the Argonauts, and you've got all these other stop motion characters and everything. But my favorite scene is the scene where you've got a few of his crew that are fighting off about 7 or 8 skeletons, and it just love this movie. Caught a glimpse of it the other day and figured I'd throw it in there for my flashback. So Jason and the Argonauts, check it out.
All right. Now let's go to From the Outside In, where each week we talk about a topic that's on ours or listeners' minds. This week it's kind of a creative one. So Justin, this was your idea. Why don't you explain it real quick for people?
All right. I'm one of those people who I am so sick to death of people misusing, or in my opinion, misusing the word trilogy. Any 3 movies slapped together are not a trilogy. To me, a trilogy follows a single narrative from beginning to end. The Star Wars trilogy, that's a trilogy. The Matrix 3 films, or the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean, those all kind of follow the same storyline from beginning to end. Of course, the first films, because they are the first, are usually more self-contained than the other 2. But a lot of people want to say that any 3 movies in a franchise is a trilogy, and I hate that because it's not. But what that used to do for me, or a long time ago when I would get mad about this, I would throw out, well, why don't you just take any movies with any actors in it, as long as there's something similar, just call those a trilogy. And so I started creating this little game with myself of making a trilogy of films that, you know, they weren't a part of a single franchise, but there was something about them and their theme or in their story or the way that they're filmed that you could actually kind of make it a trilogy of sorts with them. And so I thought this week that what I would do is ask all of our hosts to create a trilogy of films based around a theme of some sort. And for me, one of the trilogies that I have always kind of had in mind is a trilogy based on the theme of men who've loved and lost that love and what it's done to them. And the 3 films that for me really kind of wrap up or encapsulate that idea, and I think they do it remarkably well. I'm sure I'll get some guff on one of them, and probably the first one, The Fountain. But it's made up of The Fountain, Solaris, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. In all 3 of these films, you have got a male character who is facing someone that he has loved and lost, and how they deal with that loss. And I would, if I were to put these films together and have someone watch them, I would put The Fountain first. I think of the 3, it's probably the most visually dynamic and unusual in its story pacing. It's much more unusual than the other 3. And I think it's probably the darkest of the 3. And that's where I would kind of start things out. Because it's about, you know, a man who is a scientist and his wife who's dying of cancer. And all she wants to do is spend their last moments together. And all he wants to do is find a cure for her. And through that story, you get a story that she's written about a man and woman. And then it ends kind of with this sci-fi element of this man. All 3 timelines are the same actors. Just telling the story of a man trying to find that love again. And you run into the same thing with Solaris, where George Clooney's character goes to this space station that has sent out a message about some strange goings on. And then in the middle of the space station, suddenly he finds his wife who had committed suicide. And why is she there? What does it mean? And what does it mean to him? And so now he has an opportunity to maybe find that love again. And then going right into the last film, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, you know, you got Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. Jim Carrey loved Kate Winslet's character, but she broke it off, and then she went to this place to have her memory of him wiped away. And in his despair and angst, he goes to have the same thing done, to have her removed from his mind. But while that's being done, he realizes how important she is to him. And even though it's painful, he wants to hold on to those memories and keep her close to his heart. And the film ends with kind of an up note and a bit of a possibility for maybe something, a new love. And so that's kind of how I would end the trilogy, with that upbeat moment of, well, maybe you really can find that love, even if it looks like it's been lost. And so that's kind of my trilogy of love lost.
I like your trilogy, except I would start with the second movie because I'd burn the first one.
I don't know why people hate The Fountain so much.
Because it's awful. That's why.
I love it. I know a lot of people, most people who just did not like it, but I seriously thought it was a beautiful film. I love the tone of the film. I love the music of the film. I love that it was just so different and daring, and that's why I will always really love that film. But I do know a lot of people hate it, so I understand that.
I call it the pretentious.
There you go. Anyway, who's got one to follow up that? Because I set a pretty high bar.
Can I go?
Somebody better come up and try and hit it.
That's a very sweet trilogy.
I'll go next, just because I actually kind of went a backwards approach from what Justin did, as far as, you know, starting with the darker one and moving to a lighter one. I started with the lighter one and went ended with a little more darker one. My theme is basically movies about dads and kids coming closer thanks to some kind of extraordinary circumstances. I call it Glad I'm a Dad, even though I'm not a dad. The first one, like I said, I started more upbeat and did Mrs. Doubtfire. Goofy comedy, but it has a really sweet thing at the end with him really kind of breaking down and loving his kids so much.
Showing cross-dressing. I love it. Yeah.
Sure. My second one was Frequency.
I love Frequency.
I know you do, and that's one. If you haven't seen it, check that movie out. It's really good.
Hey, who's in Frequency?
Does that have a Quaid in it?
It is. It's Dennis Quaid. But I think he likes it for other reasons, just in that.
Yeah, so. It's actually, and I love the ending. It actually gets me every time.
And it is really good. I like that movie. And that's a kind of a fun science fiction-y aspect of it too.
Mm-hmm. Very sweet.
It's a different take on time travel that I think is pretty clever. And then the last one is Big Fish, which is one of I really like that movie a lot. And what's neat about that movie is that has such a relationship dynamic because he really hates his dad from all this torture and whatever going on as far as his dad telling these stories. And then at the end, he finally realizes that what his dad is really about, and kind of has that last minute grip before the somber scene at the end, which is very, very touching. And I think it's a good finish to my trilogy. So.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
Brian?
All right. My theme's a little bit more simple. It's basically man versus nature. I spent a little time in the Coast Guard, spent a lot of that time up in Alaska. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so some of these movies kind of reflect maybe small portions of that, maybe things I've experienced or seen or whatever, just kind of grown kind of attached to for one reason or another. The first movie is Alive. Now, I was never stranded on the top of a mountain, especially in the Coast Guard.
His first movie starts with people eating people.
But it's just a really good movie, and it still kind of works today, even though it's been about 20 years since the movie came out. But basically, the basic plot was based on a true story about some Uruguayan soccer club that crashed in the Andes Mountains and had to survive for, I believe it was a couple of months, and in the just kind of the group dynamics and how the mentality of your changes over time, and kind of people's true nature comes out fairly quickly whenever you're faced with death, basically. So the second one is The Perfect Storm. Again, kind of probably with the Coast Guard, you see some pretty bad weather and everything. So I really like this movie. It's of course, based on the John Krakauer Sebastian Junger. I believe is the book, the guy that wrote that. And again, like I say, just kind of a man versus nature, and of course, that's not exactly a very happy ending in that one. But anyway, keeping up the tempo here and the feel good stuff here. I'm going with Into the Wild as my last one.
Well, that's not a happy ending either.
Yeah. Feel good for who?
Man, yours is a dirge.
What the hell is nature's kicking the shit out of man in all three of these movies? But yeah, it's about the guy, basically the rich kid, smart kid who basically throws away his life of luxury and entitlement and all that other stuff and says to hell with it and takes off. Goes all over the place, but his last few months or so, he's living up in, or a couple of years even, I think. Anyway, he lives up in Alaska, finds a little bus that's in the middle of nowhere, and lives up there till the end of his days. I mean, I won't ruin that for you if you haven't seen it, but it doesn't end well. So,
the Eddie Vedder score or music for that movie is fantastic.
It really is, and Emile Hirsch. I thought this movie was really going to kind of launch him to a much larger career than what he's had since. He's still done some pretty decent movies, and I still think he's a very good actor. I just would like to see him get maybe a little bit more, I don't know, bigger box office stuff.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, mine, of course, I couldn't go for the happy theme that everybody else does.
Pedophile?
Mm-hmm. Mine's the evolution of a serial killer.
Oh.
Yeah. I would start with...
We're some dark sons of bitches, aren't we?
I would start with Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and kind of showcase a serial killer coming into his own. My middle film would be Seven, which is showcasing basically the serial killer has put all the elements into play, and now is letting things play out, and they're all coming together.
What's in the box?
And then my conclusion to my trilogy would be Silence of the Lambs, where now the killer is advising and also planning his future. So that's kind of how I connected them. Even though they're not happy, I found them a lot more entertaining than The Fountain. So, all right. Now let's go. If you guys have an idea for how you would connect three movies to create a trilogy, email them to us. That'd be really cool to go over. Feedback at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Let's go to emails. Brian, you got one.
Yes, I did. So anyway, this is from our friend Sue. She says, "Hey there, hoes. If you would, please search Kontiki Complete VFX Breakdown HD on YouTube. Watch the video that is 9:26 long. I'm assuming 9 minutes, 26 seconds. So I'm technologically challenged, and by challenged, I mean retarded to a cataclysmic degree. My daughter won't let me in the same room as her precious laptop unless I'm wearing mittens. Seriously. So I could not manage to successfully cut and paste a simple link. Never figured out how to do that on the phone. Whatever. Anyway, I came across this video and was blown away. It looks like an interesting film, but I'm mainly emailing about the CGI technology shown in the video. Gosh, these are amazing times we live in. So there's an interesting topic. Good old school flicks like The Exorcist or Star Wars or Willow or E.T., etc. Better for lack of modern day technology or not? Would we love Jaws so much if Spielberg hadn't had to work his magic around cranky old malfunctioning Bruce the Shark? I don't think we would. Later, boys. I'm going to go figure out this newfangled thing called MySpace. I hear the kids love it. Hey, Big Bri. Smiley face. Sue.
Oh, she's funny. We will definitely have that topic next week, so tune back in for that. That's actually a good idea. Mark T. sent in some of his favorite movie lines. Blazing Saddles, Governor William J. Pettibone, is that how you say it?
La Pettibone.
Thank you. Pointing to a member of his cabinet saying, I didn't get a harumph. Is that how you say it? Brian, do you know this line?
Harumph.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Hadley Lamar, give the governor harumph. Politician, harumph. You watch your ass. That's the line. Friday, you got knocked the fuck out. And Booty Call, one of the comedic classics of the last couple generations. My dick is 2 inches from the ground. I don't write them, folks. I just read them.
There's no pause in there?
Maybe. Well, you'd be pausing because you'd laugh because you know it wasn't
No, I think
true.
I think I've heard that line in other places with comedic effect where you say, my dick is 2 inches from the ground.
All right, well.
I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say.
You're talking about comedic effect and Aaron.
Yeah. So
two things that are not exactly synonymous.
All right, let's go back and finish the show so Brian can get back to beating his wife. All right, dear host and Scott. First of all, I've never wanted to write in before. I usually tweet, but from the moment I heard Scott voice his opinion, see, this is why we don't let Scott talk.
Mm-hmm.
I knew this would take more than 140 characters. Secondly, before I start my rant, I must state that I'm far from being militant. Hell, I only date white or Hispanic men, so I'm not closed-minded. I only date them Hispanics, too, so I understand. Now let the rant begin. I will admit I'm torn about the remake of Annie with an all-black cast. I remember my parents taking me to see this movie, and of course I just knew my parents adopted me, and I had a white, rich father out there. I remember my neighbor and I singing along to the soundtrack loudly and badly. But those are my memories. I was lucky enough to have those memories. I was simply happy with what was presented to me. Over the years, they have tried to reboot this classic, Annie, and it was a total flop. Let's face it, if you're not a Broadway buff or simply enjoyed the story of Annie, you missed it. You have to ask the question, why was it a flop? Remember, this is not the first remake with an all-black cast. There was The Wiz with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross. There was Carmen, a hip-hopera with Beyonce Knowles. And trust me, when I first heard about Carmen being remade, I scoffed, asking how could they mess with a classic. But as I watched, I got excited because for once, people of color were the lead. And they made it their own. They simply recast a classic. Damn, she used Justin against you. Because it's 2013, we can say we need more diversity, but not much. Sorry, I'm tired of the only black actors anyone can think of is Denzel and Halle. So if anyone wants to showcase we're more than those two faces to the younger kids in the black community, I say go for it. I know Will Smith originally started this production for his kid Willow, but she backed down for the lead role, thank God. When she, I added the thank God. When she backed out, I was in. Yeah, it's going to be rap music and over-the-top singing, but I can't wait. I think Smith and Jay-Z, like Tyler Perry, want to give black actors more lead roles. They want the younger generation to not only remember these classic stories, but know they were not forgotten. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an actress. My father told me that it will be hard because you're black. He said, when you walk into that audition, you already have 2 strikes against you. Be prepared for so many no's and disappointments. And as I looked around Hollywood, the few blacks who made it were way lighter than me. When you hear words like that, and what Scott said was he thought they were remaking Annie for controversy's sake as opposed to wanting to just remake the film on its own merits. When you hear words like that, it makes you not want to pursue something like acting. I know that my father wasn't trying to be mean in his own way. He was trying to be encouraging. But there are people out there who are telling people like me to not be afraid and go for it. Is that wrong? So let Smith and Jay-Z recast the classic. You, Scott, might not like it, but sometimes it needs to happen. And it's not to raise controversy. They want to relate to the younger generation. Rant over. Okay, until the next episode, Tammy. And I don't think Tammy rented. And by the way, she gave me permission to call you a dumb honky. So, just so you know.
A dumb honky?
Yep, that's from me.
Which is funny because I actually agree with her more than you think. Last week, I made a point about this film, about the reboot and remake of Annie, and I said that it was, I believe, a portion of why this movie is being made is to raise some controversy, and that came off not the right way. What my really big point is what I'm trying to get across is that I don't think it needs to be a big deal about one race in one movie or another, or all races in one movie. I want to see more black actors in prominent roles, just like she does, and I want to see some original work. I don't want them to have to fall back on something that was done years ago and then try to make it their own. Get some good original material. There's plenty of talented people out there of all races. Get some original material. Less barbershop and less Medea. That's all I'm trying to say.
And a lot of your point was you don't want black movies, white movies, Chinese movies, Asian. You just want movies.
I just want movies with people in them.
Multicultural actors.
Yeah, I don't really.
What the fuck was that all about?
That was Justin. I just want that noted.
That's all I'm really trying to say. So I really do agree with her in her email. I don't like that we have a handful of prominent actors. Minority actors, give them more chances, but I just want to see something original.
And I do get her point. I'm tired of seeing there's 150 white actors and there's like look at the CW. Go find an African American. That's a fun game. Play that. You can do shots every time you find one. I don't want to see that anymore. I mean, by this point in our culture, we should be seeing there should just be movies with actors, and it really shouldn't matter what color or race they are. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's still like that. I do get that Will Smith is trying to serve the audience, and I think Tyler Perry, even though I don't necessarily like his films because I think they kind of create the stereotype more than they get away from it, I like what he's trying to do because I think he's serving an audience that's not being served and actually catering to those particular fans which are not being served when they go to the screen. They don't see their lives represented. But I also see what your point is. I mean, I see what you're trying to say. So that's fair, Scott.
So I apologize
One of us has to go down for this. I hope it's you.
So bottom line, I apologize the way I came across, but I still hold to my point as far as the movie is not being made solely for the purpose of raising controversy, but I believe that's part of it. But the bigger point is I don't care what race an actor is. I don't want that to be the issue. I don't want us to have an all African American or all white or all Asian. Just put actors in a movie. It doesn't have to be one way or the other.
I don't think it's to be controversial at all. I just think they're taking a well-established property and making it their own. But, everybody can see it however they want to see it. I could see why you would think that.
So thank you for your email, Tammy.
Yeah, absolutely. And she also says, P.S. Oh, and Justin, the Ghostbuster one-liner was my favorite line from that movie. I love Ghostbusters and was happy it made it into the game last week.
Did you say Ghost Bunner?
Ghostbusters. And by the way,
I have seen shit that will turn you white.
She was telling me about her bitch brow, and that is hysterical. I'll tell you guys. I can't tell you on the show, but it's fun. Okay, where you can find us. Stay to the credits for outtakes. TheHollywoodOutsider.com, Facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider. Email us to feedback at TheHollywoodOutsider.com. Tell your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Zoom, Google Reader. Listen on your Stitcher Radio app and give us a thumbs up if you do, or any plain old RSS feed. As well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6. I want to thank each of the podcasters. Brian White Williams.
Peace out, homie.
Justin McCumber.
Motherfucking bullshit is what this is.
You really...
You know what? Stop touching me.
You really... Only Justin would bust out Sam Jackson when we're trying to talk seriously about race issues.
Somebody got to break it up a little bit.
Oh, thanks for being here, Justin. Who's a Minor Magic is available now on Amazon, paperback, and Kindle.
Yes, it is. Go buy it. Go buy 2. It's fantastic, and I wouldn't lie.
And Scotty, I like him white, Clark.
Oh, man.
If it ain't white, it ain't right.
Oh, thanks for joining us, David Duke.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Just giving him grief. I hope that clarifies it, Tammy, because sincerely, he's like the nicest guy in the world, and he just doesn't know how to say shit smart sometimes.
Is an educated man.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Here. Just remember, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
Hey, that doesn't suck.
Brian, can you actually wire surround sound in a trailer, or do you have to go with like those wireless speakers?
Well, what I do is I make sure my neighbors playing the same movies that I do.
Y'all just gotta sync
I
up.
coordinate. I text them out, say, "Okay, 3, 2, 1." You know,
play,
and turn it up. Turn it up.
Brian, the hypocrite joke.
Y'all are full of shit. Well, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of people are wrong all the time. So, you know,
Does
you
it
got
get tiring for you at all?
No, because I'm usually sitting in Wrightsville, Mayor. I tell you, if they tried to do a reality show about writing, that would be the most boring show ever.
It would be like somebody getting up, getting some chips.
That's right. My mom did get around a little bit.
Not as much as my mom.
Oh, what do we have? A mom hoe off now?
But that's the character from Metal Gear Solid 2.
Raiden?
Raiden, yeah.
Raiden.
Was it
whatever.
Raiden? Raiden with Bryden? What is it?
Don't correct my pronunciation, fuck.
Yeah, don't be Justin.
I pronounced it wrong, by the way, last week. Especially after the video you showed me.
Jahavanavane?
Quavinzane.
Oh, yeah, I love that a listener
Johnny.
actually sent us a YouTube video explaining how to pronounce it.
I did eat some crackers.
All right. Here.
Brian said cracker.
Crackers.
That's kind of redundant.
Look like you're just playing with your phone.
I'm just waiting. I got a good 5 minutes before Brian stops, cutting you off at the beginning. So.
Kid's got a point.
And you keep your mouth shut, fat boy.
He ain't lying.